Good evening, everybody. I'm Hot Rod Bob, and you've got gas. The great American auto scene. And I'll tell you what, if you are anywhere near the rest of your family, send them out of the room. This is going to be an interesting show tonight. We've got some great guests in studio. Anna Octane is back, as always, in front.
Hey, where am I?
Where are you? There you are. And Bruce Barker behind the scenes. He's the man behind the curtain. Do not move the curtain. Do not listen to the man there. He's there. We are going to be talking to some great guys. We've got Randy Cardoon from KNX 1070 Sports Radio. He's the sports announcer, anchor.
Sports radio.
Sports radio. That's it. We've got Fireball Tim Lawrence with us.
Really?
Yes, I think so. I looked over there, and there you are. And Johnny Martinez. He's got a new occupation as a striper. Striper.
Striper.
But we'll be talking to them in just a little bit.
A ball striper.
We want to thank There we go. Yeah. Moon Eyes, Moon Equipment, and Famoso Speed Shop for bringing you this show tonight. We're going to be talking about some great things coming from both of them, and we'll mention some things happening locally here that are going to impact just about everybody. But let's do a commercial, and we'll get back into the show.
In the world of speed, the dragster ranks as the #1 choice of youngsters with a touch of daring and adventure in their blood. For a few fleeting seconds on a quarter-mile strip, the driver enters another world, crosses over into a new frontier. But a record-shattering adventure on the hot quarter-mile is more than a simple endeavor of one man. It takes a mechanic, a driver, a designer, and the assembled knowledge of the many manufacturing concerns who cater exclusively to speed requirements. Thousands of parts come together in one master plan to create a dragster built to perform according to the ideas of the designer, tuned by the mechanic, and guided by the firm hand of the driver. And so, the personality of a dragster emerges, a personality known as Moon Eye. It has been said that drag racing is 95% work and 5% driving. The driver pays for his brief moment of speed with a tedious list of things to be done before the car can make another run. Safety chute repacking usually takes the longest and requires the help of a number of people. Here at Pomona, California, driver Gary Cagle and owner Dean Moon prepare Moon Eyes for a very special trip down the quarter-mile strip, the final run. For Moon Eyes is retiring. Built by Dean Moon as a quarter-mile test bench for the many speed products he manufactures or distributes, Moon Eyes has hung up an impressive record in speed. Winner in class at the NHRA Nationals in Indianapolis and again at the Winter Nationals in Pomona, Moon Eyes has scored with top speed records of 163.09 miles per hour and an elapsed time of 8 98/100 seconds. Last-minute plug inspection and Moon Eyes is ready to pull up on the line, ready to unleash the power in the 300 cubic inch blown engine in one last burst of speed. is over and Moon Eyes has retired. At the drag strip, the car is loaded on the trailer for the beginning of a long journey with many stops. Moon Eyes will never run again, but it'll still live in polished beauty as a traveling showpiece, an example of the high craftsmanship of modern speed merchants. Purchased from Dean Moon by the Revell Model Manufacturing Company, Moon Eyes will live for many years to come, not only as a traveling exhibit, but as a 1/25th scale model available in hobby and toy shops throughout the nation. When you see Moon Eyes today, listen carefully. You may still hear the cheering crowd and the thunder of that last final run.
All right, welcome back to Gas. I'm Hot Rod Bob, and you got a lot of it tonight. We've got Randy Cardoon sitting next to me, alongside of him, yeah, and Tim's, but next to Anna is the most famous guy here. He's multi-talented. Anna's got her dollar bills ready for him.
Oh, yellow dollar bills.
Well, yellow dollar bills, yes. Johnny Martinez. He is a world-class pinstriper.
Here.
Wicked.
That's a hell of a beard, Johnny.
That is.
And he's a fireball over here.
Pretty awesome.
Can we pan over here?
What?
Oh, look at that.
What's wrong with that?
I'm really glad that I'm this far
Far away,
from you.
yeah.
I just wanted to say.
Remember, guys, this is a car show.
Yes, it is.
And talking about cars, Johnny just got his car back together again. It is show ready. It is beautiful. Johnny, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on with your hot rod?
Well, I just got it back. It's all put together. It's got a brand new paint job, unlike what it was before. Mm-hmm. I was going to go back with the satin black, and we took a turn and did it in black cherry candy.
Oh.
So it's got a new life, and
That sounds like an exotic dancer. Black cherry candy.
well, anyway,
I don't know about you guys,
along.
but I'm getting pretty hungry here.
moving along.
Moving quite
You have
along.
any soda here?
Yeah, I
But
don't know.
it's pretty neat. And the day I picked it up, I was due to be at a show to stripe in a booth. They asked me to take the car off the trailer and display it, and I didn't want to do that. At the end of the day, I was going to drive all the way from Huntington Beach back to Ventura, long drive. I unloaded it and I displayed it, and they judged it, and it won its first award with the new paint. And it was my first and last award for 2017. So
that was without whipped cream on the car.
I know, yeah. Well, she couldn't make it that day.
I know.
But 2018 started off a great year. I'm here tonight with these guys, with you guys.
Oh, don't blame
and,
us, man.
No.
Anna, and we're
not
just
sure.
having a great time here. So I'm very pleased, very happy, very fortunate.
That's
Yes. Well, good night, everybody.
That's right.
Thanks for listening.
We are having fun, and
Moving
we're
on.
getting off. We got ourselves all confused, but we're going to do it. We're going to get through the show. I promise you. We've got some photos. Johnny's been talking about his car. We've actually got photos, the before and after, and other things. Now, this is now.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is ridiculous.
When you see that thing in the sun, it blows your mind.
It
I know.
does.
I first saw it when he brought it to Cruising for a Cure, and it was inside the building. It looked amazing there, and that's the photo you saw. But then when he got it outside, wow, in the
The
sunlight.
question is,
Really
why,
opened
Johnny?
up.
Why did you repaint it? I don't recall.
Well, I was at an event on Pacific Coast Highway.
Who ran that event? I'm
Very
trying to
popular
remember.
man puts a show on there.
Yeah.
And
It was a really, really big open lot, and someone just decided to come and
parked right next
you.
to me.
Yeah.
And tapped it.
There was
put
only
it-
about 1,000 other spaces he could have taken.
literally.
Yeah.
But he got you on the first try.
Yep.
First try going forward. And
Are those all the
anyway, it got
trophies you've
fixed.
won? Have you won all those trophies?
That was before what I have now. Yeah, I'm upwards of. I'm 66 now. 66 wins with.
You don't look it.
That truck.
I mean, you look pretty good. I mean,
I'm 65. I'm not far from 66.
Ah,
you
Wow,
know?
that's got to be some kind of record.
yeah.
Yeah.
More trophies, and you
You
have
have
age marks,
Yeah.
age rings.
Not bad for a stripper.
Yeah.
no.
Not bad.
But I've been really lucky. It's the car has brought me to everything that I'm doing now. That hot rod brought me to what I do today, and the people that I know. It's been a fun ride.
That's what it's about, man.
Yeah, it's about cars, and you've made the ride. You've been there. You've enjoyed the ups and the downs, and you're still heavily involved. And we talked before the show. You've got another project coming online, and you're going to downsize. You're going to a small little car.
Well, that's just one of a few things that I've got to do. I'm still working on my house. I got all that to do. I'm having a good time in Ventura. We just bought this little house. We downsized, so I'm getting things done there. My car is. I didn't have my car for almost 2 years, a year and a half. Wow. I didn't have it, so it was almost like I didn't have one. So, but I got this cool little pedal car that I want to get on. It's actually an English car, and I got it. It was in a fire, and it needs to be all redone. Friends of mine have parts for it that they just said, we're going to give you these parts. They boxed them up, and they texted me today and said they're on their way to your home. So I want to start going through that and getting that done up too.
So
it's an awesome little pedal car.
It's going to be great.
You're going to have to lose some weight to get in that
Austin,
car.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
I got this awesome little granddaughter, and she might one day. Well, I don't know. I built a little trailer, a wagon for my grandson when he was small enough to fit in it. And the following year, he tells me he didn't want it anymore. So, even that young, kids change their mind real fast. So we'll see.
Hey, look at this. Somebody is watching a Facebook live stream while we're live on the show. Now, who could that be?
I wonder who that might be. I wonder who that might be.
I know nothing. I know, and I can prove it. What I'm trying to do is, a lot of people are watching us live right now, and they're making comments, and I'm going to try and respond back to you guys.
I got it right here.
You got it right there?
I got it right here.
Oh, well, if you got it right there, then I don't have to worry about it right here.
See?
And you were able to turn off the sound. I wasn't able to figure out how to do that.
Well, people turn me off all the time, so I completely learned how that works.
All right. Ken Jeffries is there. Rapid Robbie Roth, the ice cream drag van guy. Mm-hmm. He's watching us.
Yep.
He's going to be out at Irwindale with the West Coast's fastest ice cream truck.
Wow.
I got to see that.
That is a sight to behold.
Yeah.
Especially when he shuts down a Challenger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any Challenger.
Is he serving ice cream at the same time?
Sometimes.
Because I'm all over that.
It's the gal in the back that's serving. It's the tough part because she's not built it in.
And the kids chasing it down the drag strip. That's amazing. Yeah.
All right, talking right now and right in the middle of us all is Fireball Tim Lawrence. So Tim puts on an excellent event in Malibu. And we were just out there Sunday. Some great cars, some great people. Tell us a little bit about your events.
It's called Fireball Tim's Wheels and Waves at the Malibu Country Mart. It's a hell of a name. I don't know what to say about that. But, when we first started the idea of creating the Carson Coffee, the standard for that is kind of like all the exotic cars and all that kind of nonsense. And we were, we're not really into that kind of scene. And we wanted to create a similar kind of thing, but that was for customs. It was for the artisan. It was for people that were builders, were stripers, even some collectors and things like that. And I just love seeing what the people's expression in automotive form. It's really great to be able to look at something that someone has built or put their hands in, and we get some incredible turnouts this past weekend. Not only did we have a lot of great customs, we had Dewey Weber's original wagon, which was really neat. That's a museum car from the Murphy Museum. Dave Kuntz showed up in his Bullet Mustang. We had an incredible, what was that, a 59 Chevy wagon?
Chevy two-door wagon.
Two-door wagon. We had five two-door wagons there.
Yeah.
There was five of them. So,
even there was a 61 Ford Falcon two-door wagon, which I didn't even know existed. So, that was great.
It's really cool. It's very eclectic, and not only do we get those amazing cars, but we get a lot of celebrities that come through because strategically where the show is between the Colony and Sarah Retreat. Dick Van Dyke walked out to go to Starbucks. He ended up spending 2.5 hours at our show, sitting in everybody's car, having a great time. We've had Keanu Reeves. We've had Tony Dow bring his Corvair, which we restored. Lots of really, really amazing people. And I just feel so blessed to once a month, it's every third Sunday, to be able to hang out with my friends and to see. It's like going to a museum and looking at everyone's paintings, but they're drivable, and that's an extraordinary thing. And then we hang out, we share each other's stories as to the builds and the experiences we've had. It's just a lot of fun.
All right, I got a question on the internet for Johnny. Do you know the term pinstriping, where that came from?
I don't, and by normal pinstripe standards, I'm actually a newbie. I don't know, a lot of people that know me know when I started, but the people that just know that I do it, I actually started pinstriping in 2013.
Wow.
And I was age 60 when I picked up a pinstriping brush. Never held a brush in my life. And so I do know the term pinhead from way back. Pinstripers were known as pinheads.
Really?
And I used to go to car shows years ago, and I'd see these guys. And that's where I actually got the idea to do bowling pins, because they were doing them.
Oh, okay.
And I soon found out it had nothing to do with bowling. So, but the pinstriping thing, I honestly I don't go that far back, So.
Okay.
Well, I think it comes from sign painting, and it's the width of the line. So the thinner the line is like a pin stripe. Mm-hmm. He actually has a piece of art here we can look at. You want to show this beautiful lens that he has here? So the very fine lines are considered
here it is.
More artistic as a talent. They're very, very hard to pull, very fine lines.
You're absolutely correct. That's exactly where it came from.
And Von Dutch supposedly had a photographic memory, and he could pull one fine line on each side of the car from memory, just one line. And I think it's the way you lay the paint on the brush, how you load the brush, and.
Well, I know that there's a certain brush that you use. I mean, obviously you use a certain kind of brush. Some brushes will actually lay a thinner line, and that's harder to do. But that's actually, it's quite embarrassing not to know.
Thanks,
you know what? I'm actually.
So I just learned something,
Johnny. I'm really impressed with that. I didn't know that you started at that age, and that's a true inspirational story.
I started in 13. I won Grand Nationals in 13. I stopped showing aggressively. I wanted to learn how to pinstripe. It was part of the car culture. That's why I did it.
Yeah,
Johnny, the lens there. Show that lens again. Now, where did that lens come from?
I have a sister-in-law who gave me a lot of these. They were discarded. They were going to be tossed and broken up. So she got them, and then she said, my brother-in-law could do something with these. Mm-hmm. And I would get probably, 15, 20 of them at a time. And then I just started painting on them, and I just started doing things on them. And
what were they before?
They're like from a traffic signal. From a traffic light.
Yeah, look at that.
And they get scratched, they get faded, they crack, and they're discarded. And so that's how I got them. And I still have.
They must be old because they're plastic now.
I have had some plastic ones, and I was told that those are the latter ones now. Yeah,
that's kind of cool. You got the drag racing Christmas tree.
Well, that's pretty appropriate for Bob Beck, and Stormy Bird, I might add.
Yeah.
But
drag racing.
Cool. In fact, I did this one for Stormy, didn't I? I think I did this one for Stormy. Yeah.
You also do a lot of trophies now in the car show scene.
I've been building trophies since 2013. I did my first one as a gag trophy for a show, and the host of the show decided he wanted to make it a best of show, and I've been doing hand-built trophies since then, and that's what. And now I'm giving out at certain shows best pinstripe. And I sponsor the award. My name goes on it, and I'll actually stripe them. If I don't make the trophies, I buy them in acrylic, and then I do some really goofy stuff with them. They're beautiful. But most of the time, I build them. I make them really one-offs, and so that's a lot of fun.
Cool. Also with us, and we haven't introduced him yet, is Randy Cardoon from KNX 1070. How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing well. We, of course, are not only doing the sports at KNX 1070, but, of course, the podcast talking about cars. Right. And that's always a lot of fun. Jeff Allen from, he was on a show called The Car Chasers. We caught up to him at SEMA this past year. So he has some really great car stories. So a lot of guys. Fireball's been on the show. Johnny's been on the show.
You actually covered my wedding.
I did. I covered your wedding.
We'll talking about cars.
Yeah, exactly. We're not sure what we're going to do with Anna, but we'll figure out something, I think. Somewhere down the line, we'll bring her on the show. So, it's really a lot of fun because we get a chance to talk to a lot of really cool people. Yeah. And you could get it on radio.com and also iTunes. Actually, we have 2 iTunes accounts. They're Talking About Cars Classic, the first 93 episodes, and then the most recent ones, which you could get also on iTunes, and it's linked to radio.com. So, again, a lot of fun. We've been keeping busy with that.
Yeah, one of the ones that I had fun with, I was with you, was up at SEMA where you got to talk to Candy Clark.
Yeah, Candy Clark. We had a chance to talk with her. There's Jeff right there. And we had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people. We talked to Candy. We talked to the Wheeler Dealers, the new edition with Mike and Ant. We had all sorts of fun out there. So it's really... Oh, we also talked to the guys from Misfit Garage. Misfit Garage.
Yeah, Tom and Thomas.
Yeah, and they have a lot of interesting stories. Let me tell you that, just because the guy, Tom, apparently did something where he broke a car in half.
Yes.
While driving, which I've never heard of before without hurting a lot. But, yeah, so that's kind of what they
But
did.
the part of the country he's from, it's possible.
Don't they usually do that in Russia a lot?
Yeah.
According to the videos.
Yeah, according to the videos, yeah.
Oh, man.
Normal driving habits.
Yeah, just driving to the store and, suddenly you have 2 cars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I told you if you said anything, I was going to leave you at home. Now, go. Yeah.
I think there's a commercial out right there where there's a fast food commercial where it splits off. Yeah. Yeah, the driver doesn't want to go someplace, but the rest of the car goes, and there it goes.
If you go back far enough, I remember a Texaco commercial where there was a Chevrolet Citation, and it split right before the pumps and drove around the pumps.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah, so it was, not a new concept, but that was done on purpose. The ones we're talking about in Russia, that happens by serious accidents.
Yeah.
See a lot of dash cam action
there you
coming
go.
from there.
Yeah.
All right, now we're all involved in cars in one way, shape, or form. We know Tony's or
Johnny.
I just brushed my teeth and I can't do a thing with them.
That's Johnny. That's Anna. That's Fireball.
And Fireball, you're Randy, and
Yes.
I think I'm Bob. I hit my head the other day, and it's really affecting me still. Who am I? Why? I don't know.
One finger for Johnny,
One finger
two for Anna.
Two for Anna. Now, Anna's the only one we haven't talked to about cars, but Anna is involved heavily in the publishing business,
Yes.
as well as a backup babe.
I do a lot of things. I'm a
We know.
multitasker.
But we're talking about cars now.
Okay, I'm the senior feature editor for Old School Rods and Car Culture Deluxe magazines. We are doing a display at the Grand National Roadster Show coming up.
Yep.
We are debuting a pedal car and 4 vehicles and a motorcycle, and we've got our Pinup Girls coming in the booth, and I coordinate everything, and sometimes I'm a backup girl for the Famoso mob. That on screen is the pedal car.
That is so awesome.
That is cool.
That
God.
is a tribute to George Barris and Ed Roth. Tom Cunningham built it. It has a bubble top and a windshield, and it's made out of a 1960 Chevy door.
Wow. There's nothing on there I can see that's a Chevy door.
It took a year to build that, and we're very excited. And
I would give anything to drive that, and I would have to shrink quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's
that's our
that is
monster
really
mic
awesome.
You have to
in
get
there.
you have to get the
And it
little-
lights up, and it's fun. And we do that to support junior rodders, because they are the future conservators of hot rodding and custom cars, and we want them to be involved.
All right, so this is going to be on display at the Grand National Roadster Show. In your booth, you talked about the Pinup Girls. You talked about the magazines. You talked about but you forgot the 2 tired guys that are going to be in there.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, they're right here.
Yes. Now,
My 2 guys over here, Randy.
Us?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, we're going
over one more. There's
Randy
you see it.
and Bob will be there in our booth.
Yeah.
announcing from the show. And you know who else is going to be in our building?
No.
I think Candy Clark and Bo Hopkins from
Are they?
American
Really?
Graffiti.
Oh, we're going to have to go over and talk to those
Candy,
guys.
so yeah.
All right, so come over to
So
the
come on down. Yeah.
to Anna's booth.
Yeah.
Stop by, see Randy and myself. We have stickers. We got gas stickers and talking about car stickers.
We do.
And the hero cards. Don't go home without them. You'll be the first on your block to have one or two.
I got left them in the car, but that's okay.
Yeah, me too. What?
Oh, we came prepared.
Well, Bruce already knows us, and who we're going to give them to. I mean,
That's
Stickers,
true.
do they look
we can
like
give them to
this?
each other.
They're
Yes,
kind of like
mine
that.
does, yes.
His does, yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's my sticker. Hold on a second.
It's on your shirt, too.
This is my sticker. We'll bring it in like so.
Yeah, okay.
See, there you go.
Nice.
There
Great.
you go. That's kind of cool. That's what the sticker looks like. So.
Is that the tired guy?
Johnny, I feel left out. We
Well,
should have
okay.
stickers.
The tired?
Not
What-
yet.
what-
We
I
haven't
don't
got
have
that
a
part
sticker.
yet.
I don't have a sticker.
No, I don't have a
No,
sticker.
what she's referring to is Bob and I are going to start doing a podcast of our own, which is going to be interesting. And we're going to call it, we were looking for something kind of unique, and we decided to call it.
Black cherry. No, sorry.
She wasn't available.
No, we talked, we were going to actually call it, and we thought, what could it have in common with us?
Yeah.
And we figured it's going to be two tired guys.
And-
So it's two tired
catchy.
guys.
And
That's
instead of
catchy.
it's two TOO, but
Right.
instead of the letter, it's tires.
Right, tires. See, tired guys. See, kind of like,
Because you're car guys.
Yes.
That's a good one.
That actually works.
Yes, it does.
That actually works.
And we're
Like
having
it.
fun. We were able to do our first joint podcast from the Huntington Beach Car Show, and Headman Headers was putting it on.
that's true.
And we had fun with those guys and all the cars and people that were out there. And so we're taking the show on the road. And like we said, we're going to be in Anna's booth at the Grand National Roadster Show.
Great.
Come by and see us. We'll sign autographs any place you want us to.
I'll sign Bob's autograph on checks anywhere, no problem.
Yeah, and they can bounce just like anyone else's, and we can go all the way from there and
That's
have
building
fun.
fun.
You won't have to worry
by the
about
way.
getting tired because you're
No.
already tired.
We're already
Exactly.
tired. Yes.
Too tired, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
Grand National Roadster Show is going to be great. If you haven't already planned on being there, you've got to be there. It's the biggest and best show on the West Coast, and it's getting bigger every year. You got the Suede Palace. You got each building has a separate theme. There's going to be a Tri-5 Chevy booth or building. There's going to be the Grand National Roadster building where they're going to have the cars going for the top award. And you'll see some of the best builders in the country.
That's building 4.
Building
the amber,
4.
There's, 16 or 18 amber cars this year?
Yeah.
And 107 muscle cars, and 1,000 cars are coming, and
Plus the outdoor
10
parking.
buildings, and
So you've got a lot going on.
motorcycles.
Dave Kendig from Bitchin' Rides. He's already posted on Facebook. He's on the way down with his transporter. It's probably here by now. Of course, he's coming from Utah, and it's snowing. But
Is it?
Yeah, it was the other day. But he's probably out of there by now.
Well, they're
And-
loading in tonight from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we load in from 10 to noon, but they go until 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
And we've got 3 Mercs on the corners of our building. We have a John DiAgostino's bringing the Hero Hot Clone.
Sorry, I saw some lint.
The Hero Hot Clone is coming.
Is it that time
the
of year
American, I'm shedding. The American Dream is coming from Mike Garner, and Rick Dorr.
Rick Dorr.
Is releasing I think it's a 1950 Merc has come. So a lot of Mercs this
Yeah,
year.
that's the one he's been posting. They've been working on that for
Yeah.
quite some time.
They've been
beautiful.
prepping it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been following that.
He's just getting that done. He's been working hard on that. He's a fellow club member of a number of us, or all
TMPCC?
of us. At TMPCC.
TMPCC, yeah.
Very good.
Man,
So-
a fella stopped by here yesterday who was actually here last year. I had the Lincoln parked out front, and he was going, "Hey, give me a source for more of those headlight surrounds. The things that they always use for custom cars."
Yeah.
And Steve Heller, I think, is his name, and he's going to be in a different building. But he built last year was a finned. He put some late 50s Studebaker fins. Remember when Studebaker
Yeah.
was bolting fins onto their cars
Yeah,
to
the
try to
fiberglass
keep the
fins
style
they're
up?
putting them on,
Combination
yeah.
with Packard. And all that
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
Yeah.
And they did that with a Dodge Charger. It was one of the it was one of the RST cars, one of those Challenger, the station wagon cars.
Okay.
Magnum.
And Magnum. And it looked pretty cool. So I think they're doing another one this year. But anyway, I don't think it's in the same building as you guys. But I
Might not. You never know. But there's some great buildings. There was one building last year for strictly Bonneville cars, and that was an amazing. I got to sit in the Ken
Fuller's
car. Now, this car was originally not going to have a windshield. It was going to be drive-by-mirror. And you laid down in the car, flathead Ford-powered. I saw it when it was going into construction, when he started building it. It started out as a compressor tank.
Yeah, it looked like
Literally.
a missile. It was like a missile.
He got the sheet metal, which is real thick on a compressor tank.
Yeah.
And the car was so strong that his engineering expertise said it doesn't need a roll cage. SCTA says, no, you need a roll cage. Oh, and by the way, where's the windshield?
Oh.
So they had to modify the car, but this was an amazing machine, and it was going to be his last hurrah at Bonneville. So I got to sit in that car. Talk about claustrophobic. But it was great. There's some amazing cars out there. Vern Tardell from Northern California was down. He's built some amazing traditional hot rods. He was there with the new book he and Mike Bishop had written. You name it, it's going to be there. You're going to see it. You do not want to miss this. But we're going to talk about that and more in just a little bit. Bruce, are we ready for another commercial?
Let's make it happen.
All right.
This is the 1958 Edsel, the car that presents originality and elegance never seen before in any car at any price, and presents them in 18 different models. This expensive-looking car is one of the Edsel Ranger series, a four-door ice green sedan styled like a hardtop that sells for no more than some models of America's low-priced cars. The turquoise and white convertible you see driving up now is one of the Edsel Pacer series, with elegant Edsel styling throughout, such as these Edsel Contour seats that are scientifically designed to give you separate back and shoulder support, with an overall feeling of luxurious comfort that means hour upon hour of fatigue-free, enjoyable driving. And the back of the front seat is divided in a new way that gives the middle passenger a full backrest, so you ride more comfortably than you ever have before. This two-door hardtop is one of the large and luxurious cars in the Edsel Corsair series. Its colors are copper metallic and white, one of over 90 Edsel color combinations that you can choose from, so you can completely satisfy your individual color tastes. This ember red and white four-door hardtop is one of the magnificent Citation series, upholstered in white vinyl and gold nylon, just one of an attractive array of the very latest high-fashion decorator fabrics, all color-keyed to match the car exterior. Here is the distinctive Edsel Bermuda, done in charcoal brown and driftwood, one of 5 Edsel station wagons, which give you your choice of both 2- and 4-door, 6- and 9 passenger models. And this is the Edsel Citation Convertible in gold and white. Undoubtedly the most beautiful convertible in the world. See this and the other elegantly styled Edsels at your Edsel dealer this week. Remember, this is the year to get out of your old car and into the most elegant automobile of your lifetime.
Hi, welcome back to Gas. I'm Hot Rod Bob Beck. We've got Johnny Martinez, Anna, Marco, Fireball Tim Lawrence. Right there.
Yeah.
We've got Randy Cardoon and the inimitable Bruce Marker.
Hiya.
Now, Tim, we were talking off camera during the commercial, and there's some benefits to going to your event.
Well, it's something very simple. You know, it's why do people come to a Carson Coffee? Because they want to have coffee. We got that in spades. So if you come to our show, not only do you get free coffee, big thanks to not only Starbucks who's providing the coffee, but we have sponsors each time. Sometimes it's the Automobile Driving Museum, or it can be individual collectors, things like that. But you also get a free Hot Wheels.
Oh.
And that's what it's about, people. That's what it's about. So I have the red bag of doom. If you have the courage to reach into the bag, Most of the time there's Hot Wheels in there, but sometimes there's other things. So, I'm not going to be responsible for what they pull out of there, but sometimes it can be something good. So you get to enjoy yourself coming to the show.
Why does Bullwinkle come to mind? Watch me pull a rabbit out of my head.
It might be a cockroach. I don't know.
It might be, yeah. All right, so that's good. Now, Randy, everyone here has been to your event except Anna.
I'm going.
You're going.
I'm going.
So third.
I will
There's
be
Sunday.
going.
There's Johnny Banks. Very cool. He had a great time.
So you have a lot of celebrities come out too, don't you?
We do. It's sometimes they reach out to us, and sometimes we reach out to them, and sometimes they just kind of show up. But we've had everybody from Tony Dow to Keanu Reeves, Dick Van Dyke that I mentioned.
I was lucky enough
Jonathan
to
Banks.
be there when Tony Dow was there last.
Yeah.
Paul Moyer.
Amazing guy.
Yeah.
Paul Moyer was pretty
I got to meet Paul Moyer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, for those of you in the East Coast who don't know who Paul Moyer is, he was one of the top newscasters here in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah.
And he has since retired, but he's a car nut. And when he came out, he had a brand new, what was it, GT350?
No, it was a Ferrari, 458 Italia. And
He did that too, but the last time when Tony Dow was out,
right, he did.
Brought out his brand new, was a GT350?
Yeah, I believe it is, yeah.
But he bought his Ferrari out, and he had just purchased it, and he couldn't figure out how to turn the radio down. So we're trying to tell him how to park, and he goes, I can't hear you, I can't turn the radio off.
Yeah. And then we had
Ken Vella.
Vella always plays the tunes.
Yeah, from Wicked Customs. Yeah, he's there. And then we're always filming.
Yep.
So we're going to be doing the same thing at Grand Nationals. We're going to be filming the vlog from Grand Nationals.
Cool.
Which would be really fun.
Now, Randy and I, at the time before that we came out there, we got to introduce and double team one of the famous stars from Star Wars.
That's true.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep.
Exclusively, by the way.
I know. Both of us exclusive.
We were battling each other for the exclusive. In fact, I think we interviewed each other briefly,
which
is scary, but that's another thing.
Yes.
He was probably one of our most popular celebrities, was R2-D2.
Yeah. And Randy's got that on his podcast, talking about cars.
Yep.
And you can hear the whole interview, both sides of it. I guess you could say it was in stereo.
All the chirping.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, absolutely. All the chirping and all that. It's on. It's also, we had some of it on our social media, which of course at Talk N about cars on Twitter. Also talking about cars on Facebook and Instagram. So there's all sorts of fun stuff to watch. We're all over the place. They're all over the place.
Yes.
Because cars are all over.
Cars are all over. Now, Anna, we've been one of the things that we cover is we talk about some of the latest and greatest in laws and proposals, and we keep in touch with SEMA and SANS, and they send us information about the laws that are pending. One of the things that we were looking at today is there's a scrappage bill for the state of Oregon. They want you to scrap your old car. And I've had people tell me, oh, no, the government doesn't want to get you out of your old car. No, the government does. Maybe on a state basis in some cases, although the federal government did the same thing. But the state of Oregon wants you out of your old car. And they're going to pay you to get out of your old car.
Boo!
Yeah.
Boo!
What they do during this...
This is a serious problem. People don't realize that the U.S. government is really trying to get rid of the collector car base. They're going to oppress us with gas taxes, maybe rationing. They want electric cars. They want alternative fuel. And if you don't get involved and write your legislators and stay on top of what's happening with SEMA and SAN, we're going to lose our hobby.
We're going to lose our rights.
Our rights. And they are saying that driving is a privilege, not a right.
Well, and one of the things that's happening, too, is especially here in California, we've got a high content of alcohol being formulated into the fuel. Now, the pumps only say you're getting 10%, but California bumped it up to 12% a couple of years ago. They want you to go to E85, which is 15%. There are only a handful of cars on the market from new manufacturers that can use E85. There are no cars on the market except for those same handful that can use what is coming in now that is 12%. What's happening is cars with carburetors like mine, like Randy's, Anna's, and Johnny's, yours still carbureted. The carburetors are being eaten by the alcohol-based fuel. Carburetors are pot metal for the most part, or cast aluminum. The alloy gets eaten by the alcohol in the fuel. Now, they'll tell you every day, no, it doesn't harm cars. I used to work for one of the OEMs, one of the manufacturers, and we had to go into a recall because the 10% was eating up and drying out the rubber fuel lines. Government said, it's your fault. We said, the car was not built to run this fuel. Government says, we don't care. Recall them. So what happened was fires were happening. Cars were leaking fuel. The same thing is happening with old cars. Go up to your old car if you've got one and check the fuel line. See if it's gotten hard and brittle yet, because it's going to happen. So now they're damaging your car and telling you it's not happening. And if you look at any posts from any of the government agencies, including our own AQMD, that tells you, no, this is not harmful to your car. The reality is it is harmful to your car.
Yeah.
And by introducing these fuels and making your cars not capable of running on it or driving any longer, the theory is to get you off the road.
But it's also affecting vintage drag boats and old lawnmowers, and it's not just cars. It's affecting society in general. And really what it is a special interest group with the corn farmers who are losing money, which turned the corn into biofuel, which now they're trying to market as a gasoline. So what you have to do is put additive in your vintage vehicle, but most people don't know this, and they're just spending a lot of money getting their carburetors repaired. And I have a 66 Mustang that's not under warranty. So if the fuel that hybrid fuel damages my vehicle, I'm responsible for the whole bill on that, which I don't think is fair. But you have to stay involved. The point is you have to get on to SEMA, you have to go to SAN, and you have to stay involved and protect the hobby.
Right.
We really do.
Yeah.
We're a car community. We need to stick together and protect one another, or we're going to lose the enjoyment of our vintage vehicles and going to Cars and Coffee and talking about cars. And
you mentioned that earlier, that it's important to get to kids, in some way, shape, or form. And I think we all attempt to do that in our unique ways. And I'd love to see Johnny give a seminar on pinstriping to little kids. I think that would be really cool. And just try to find a way, if you love this hobby, if you love being in this business, is a surefire way to keep it alive is to be able to communicate with kids and get them excited about what this is all about.
Yeah,
in your way.
That's one of the things. I'm going to a school on the 29th, and I'm going to do a presentation on hot rodding and drag racing and so forth. And I've done this a couple of times. One of the ladies that is also a model for Anna, Erica Falcon, that's not her real name, but that's the name she goes by, is a middle school teacher. So I'm going to do a presentation to a couple of her classes next week. And I've done it before, and they love the hot rods. They don't know anything about them. Mm-hmm. And when you go to talk to them and you tell them about these, and they get to get up close and personal with the cars, they have a new appreciation and understanding. I've just moved into a neighborhood where the kid across the street had never seen a hot rod. Mm-hmm. And every time I fire mine up or Peg fires her up, he comes out of his grandmother's house to look at them. So the other day we gave him a ride. We got him in the car.
That's how you do it, man.
And that's what catches him. I got hooked on the hobby by my neighbor had a Sportster or Speedster when they first came out. He came back from Europe when he was in the military and brought back the Porsche. Amazing car. I loved it. I got hooked on cars. And then 25 cents was my allowance. It's amazing. That was what I could buy the early Rod and Customer hunk magazines for. Was 25 cents. And that got me involved. Johnny, you got involved. You're a San Fernando Valley guy. We were immersed in cars.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. From high school on, there was car clubs, back in the day in our school. In fact, in 1971, I graduated from Reseda High School, but I was involved with Reseda High School's first car show. And we did it right outside the cafeteria on a service road there at lunchtime. We were able to park our cars there and leave them there through lunch, through, I'm dating myself here, nutrition time, when we had our, coffee break, if you'd call it, in the day. And I was involved with this car show thing, and we had 65 Mustangs. We had Nomads in the school when I was going to school, but we didn't see them the same way as we do now. Mm-hmm. And so the kids were going and looking at some of these cars that weren't into the cars, but they seen them in the parking lot. Well, now they got to go up and see them firsthand, and there was a lot of that back in the day. San Fernando Valley, A&W Root Beer, Bob's Big Boy, Tiny Nailers, so that's what we did.
We cruised Van Nuys Boulevard. That was the
Van
main
Nuys
street in
Boulevard.
San Fernando Valley. There was Whittier Boulevard. There were other places. San Diego had their cruising area, but Van Nuys Boulevard, I can remember Wednesday night was club night. All the car clubs would come out. Friday and Saturday night was just free-for-all cruising. And I still have friends that I met on Van Nuys Boulevard.
It's all about the experience.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
Which is now what a cool thing. Guys like Fireball who give us a place. I tell this to Fireball. I've told it to other guys that host these weekend deals or 3-hour deals. It gives me a place to go take my car. Because if they weren't there, all I would do is be driving it around, which is fun in itself. But I can go to places like Fireballs, and the kids are there. The kids are there. They want to see this stuff.
And one of the things that's happening too is now the cars we grew up with are the cars that we have, and the cars that we wanted to have. A lot of people are cutting out today's kids by saying, "Oh, you're into these racers," and I don't mean that in a negative ethnic way, because that's what people are calling the Japanese imports, whether they're made here in the U.S. or not. But those are the cars they grew up with, and what are they doing to them? They're hot rodding them. I don't care what year the vehicle is you pick on, or you decide to improve.
The
or
concept
modify.
is the same.
The word
it's
the word they use is modified,
right?
And it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
it's just their term.
It really is.
We used to tune carburetors. They tune a little box with their iPod or iPad, and
so true.
they got the car getting another 100 horsepower,
Yep.
and all they've done is they sat there with a computer, and it's a game. But it's something we don't understand.
Yeah.
But then again, I can remember people older guys not understanding the mechanical fuel injection when it came out.
Yeah.
And the first thing you did with a Corvette, we just took that fuel injection off because it was unreliable. No, it wasn't. You just didn't have it set right. Once you got those things running, you got 20 plus miles per gallon out of a 360 horsepower Corvette.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until electronic fuel injection came in, and then even at that point, it wasn't until everyone had to use fuel injection to meet emissions that people started learning that these things aren't all that difficult. And now you have kits to retrofit to your car and make it fuel injected.
Yeah.
The hot setup right now is no longer putting a 350 Chevy into your hot rod. You got to have an LS motor with the fuel injection on it, and it's now a kit.
No more turbos. They're doing the 4-speed overdrives.
Yeah, no turbo 350s for 400s. It's a 700R. You and I think I've got 200.
I've got the 200R.
We both have 200R
in the hot rod.
overdrives in our cars. Amazing how they work. I went from the 350 to the 200. I went from 15 miles a gallon to over 20.
Yeah.
And it was just a transmission change. And our friend Donnie in Ventura.
Donnie Kakamisi.
He rebuilt mine the last time.
Yep.
And changed the converter. He got that thing tuned up the way I want to drive it. And the mileage is great. I'm happy again. I'm getting 20 plus miles per gallon.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
no, I've got
Didn't Henry Ford, when the automobile first came out, it changed society in that it gave us freedom of movement, which would lead to economic prosperity. And we have that now, and what we're doing is personalizing our vehicles and having a passion for the automobile, whether you have one or not. And when you come together in the automotive community, you're not just enjoying cars, but you're maintaining the history of them. You're talking about resourcing parts, which are not so easy to find on some of the older cars. You're teaching children about vehicles and preservation. I also am a tour guide at the Peterson, and the old brass era car collectors are worried that the kids won't preserve the brass era vehicles from about World War I because they don't think they're cool, because they don't know about how fun they are.
They can't drive them. They can't buy them. They can't lock them when they go to school. They can't use it as a daily driver. And especially the Ford Model T, they haven't figured out what the 3 pedals are for, because they're not the same as we have now. Henry Ford had a convoluted idea that no one else used, but he did it from 1908 until 1923. And you had to learn how to drive a T because they were totally different from everybody.
You know, it's our job as people that are, you know, hopefully driving forces in this hobby, in this community, to be able to educate people about these things. And you know, I love doing that. I know what Randy does and Johnny does. The events are about that, our communication with kids and a variety of things. We each have our individual ways, and I think people that are listening, they have to find that one thing that they're most passionate about and be able to figure out a way to share that passion. You know, Randy does a great job auditorially to and you guys to convey that visually and in a variety of ways, and we have our show. And I think that the more effective you can be in your passion and share that with kids, and more educated as to, not that, you know, hey, there's a brass here, a car, and isn't that cool, but here's why. It's important to understand, you know, where this came from and how cool it is, and to give them an experience. I mean, I just took a ride in a 1909 Model T the other day, and I had never done that, and I've driven in freaking every car on the planet practically. And I tell you, I was giggling like crazy, like I was 11 years old, because, you know, I'm a total car guy, and I've done a lot of really great stuff. But it's still to have that feeling, and our hats are flying off into the intersection, and to see everyone else that we're riding with. We had Wes from the Daily Driver Project. We had Ken Vela from Wicked Customs. It was at the Automobile Driving Museum, and we felt present. To me, that's what it was about. Yep. Is that going to these shows and doing this stuff makes you feel in the moment. And you're not worrying about your bills. You're not worrying about your things that aren't working in your life. The car hobby, for me, helps me to stay present and to learn stories and build that community.
I think, too, Joe, the fact that it's the story, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, Fireball was talking a lot about the experience of driving in a certain car of a certain age. Mm-hmm. What about the experience of, let's say, your own family members? You know, if you're younger, go talk to your grandfather about the car he had. He probably has even pictures floating around somewhere. And have him share where it came from and how he came about getting it. And you'll get the emotion about it. And I think a lot of people who, and especially the kids in a way, the younger people that really get into cars, a lot of them get into the older cars because Dad had something like that, that my grandfather had something like that. That's something that really comes from the heart in a way, because they want to preserve that relationship. They want to see and experience the cars that their family drove around in, and that's something that I think is really key to.
Yeah, you lose yourself in those stories.
Yeah, you do.
You know, and it's great to be able to have that experience, talk to someone who was actually there. I mean, we try, you know, on my show, which is Fireball Malibu Vlog, we try to do visually what Randy's doing on the podcast, is being able to talk to people, get their stories, being able to see those cars, and then you learn. You educate yourself, and it's endless. It's an amazing array of individual stories that just go on forever.
And the thing we talk about on Talking About Cars is, okay, we have some really great stories, but they come from people you never expected to actually have great stories. A lot of them are car personalities you'll see on Velocity, Discovery, that kind of thing. You'll also see celebrities of some sort, or at least hear them talking about various things that they've gone through. And you'll find out that somebody like that, like Richard Carpenter, who has a big kind of a warehouse in a way out in Newbury Park, he's got some great car stories that you probably have. You know, the relationship of the vehicles he has is intertwined with his family. It's intertwined with his love, in his case, for Mopars. Some people it's Ford, some people it's Chevy. That kind of thing, really, you find out that they're not that much different than you are, and that's what we talk about on our show.
Go ahead.
And we talked to someone just the other day who is a very famous racer. And I'm not going to tell you who it is, because you're going to have to listen to Talking About Cars in 2 weeks.
Right, comes out a week from Thursday.
But they have a memory of their dad's car. And it wasn't a car he was able to keep for a very long time, but it left an indelible memory. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to find that car.
Yeah.
Not find a car like that car, but to find that car. Which is something I believe they even talked about when we had the Wheeler Dealer guys in. They were talking about cars that they grew up with, and I believe it was Aunt that wanted to find a certain car that a relative had, or a certain car that he once had. So again, it's all based on the story and the connection.
It's funny though, because we both interviewed Tony Dow about his Corvair, and he has an amazing story about the fact he had this car in high school, the '65 Corvair.
62, I believe.
62. Okay,
yeah.
so he had this Corvair in high school, and he sells it to a buddy, and the guy keeps it for 50 years, restores it 2 or 3 times in that time, and then died like maybe a year and a half ago, and wills the car back to Tony, and Tony gets a random phone call from some other guy saying, "Hey, I got your car, come get it." And he's like, "What car?" He goes, "The Corvair you had in high school." He's like, "What are you talking about? Where did that come from?"
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, it's this car made its full circle all the way back to Tony. Now it's sitting in his garage.
Can you imagine that, though?
Yeah, and he's having a kick driving it.
Oh, he's loving it.
He understands it and experiences it more now than when he was a kid.
And he wasn't really even fully a car guy. He loved cars, but now he calls me up and says, "Hey, what show can we go take my car to? Because I want to get in there."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great. And like Randy says when he does his show, everyone's got a car story. Yeah. Everyone's got a story about a car, whether you owned it, rode in it, saw it, or wanted it. And
I have a story.
You always have stories.
Give it.
You see this little guy right here?
No, but show it to the camera.
See this little guy right here? Can you see that?
Bruce is going to get the camera. Wait a minute.
It's a 10-year-old. He's a 10-year-old named Dominic Tucker. And he is the great-great-grandson of Preston Tucker.
Holy cow.
He built the Tucker 48, and he made a little hubcap, just like his great-great-grandfather's car, and he's working with Rob Ida, learning how to metalsmith.
Wow.
And he's 10 years
great.
old.
10
and
years
this
old.
is what it's really all about.
Yeah, and, there are going to be enthusiasts. I've got one of my sons is totally into cars. The other one knows how to put the gas in the gas tank and turn the key. My younger son, he's got a 1957 Ford. He's had it since he was 17. He's almost 30. And that's his baby. Now, he's moving on to bigger and better things, but he had this 50. He wanted that car. He drove to school. He had a little sign on the back window that says, "No, that's not my father's car." And he talked his way into as kind of like an apprentice or a gopher at Hollywood Hot Rods when he was 14 years old. So he got himself immersed in it because we were immersed in it.
Yeah.
And he hung on to it. The older son had other things, but all right, I got 50%. I got a good ratio there.
Yeah, you do.
But
All us car lovers will be at the Grand National Roadster Show this weekend.
That is the granddaddy of them all.
I'll be there.
And John Buck puts on a heck of an event. You've got to be there. All of us are going to be there. Randy and I will be in Anna's booth. Anna will be in her booth sometimes when she's not flitting around someplace. We're going to have Pinup Girls in Anna's booth. Come by, meet the pinups.
So we'll have Pinup Girls when we're there in Anna's booth.
Well, it's the Cool House booth in Building 5, and Sarah Parker and Caitlin Litzinger are coming. They're both cover models.
Yes.
They're both gorgeous, a redhead and a blonde. And they'll be signing calendars and cards, and it's a meet and greet and photo ops. And
I'm going to be vlogging that, man. I'll tell you right now.
It's going to be fun, I'll tell you. So, come and join us and just love cars like we do.
The quality of the cars you're going to see there, whether it's Suede Palace, where you see the Rat Rod crowd, or what some call the Rat Rod crowd, the cars that don't have shiny paint, and some do have shiny paint, but the cars that are a best representation of what it was like here in the San Fernando Valley of Southern California in the 50s and 60s, when lowriders wasn't even a term. You drove a custom, and it wasn't an ethnic thing. Everyone could drive a custom. It didn't matter, and the guys would spend hours polishing and keeping those cars clean, and they were beautiful machines. Everyone had respect for the other style car, and you're going to see all those styles at the Grand National Roadster Show this weekend. If you're in Southern California, this is a no-miss situation.
That's Caitlin. That'll be one of our models.
Pachow.
And there's Sarah.
Zap.
Boing.
And every year at Grand Nationals that I've gone, the cars outdo last year's cars.
Yeah.
The guys are bumping the envelope big time. And I look at these cars. Now, I'm no expert at this stuff. I'm just one of the guys that likes to do this stuff. But I've seen enough of them, and I'm telling you, I see things every year that I didn't see the year before. And I go, how did they do it?
Yeah, well, look at Troy's AMBR last year. A hydraulically folding roof on a Packard.
That was pretty sweet.
I mean, this car was so technologically advanced, yet looked like it came out of the 30s.
Yeah.
And it retracted into an area where a rumble seat would be.
Yeah.
It just disappeared into the car.
Was that the same car that was at Art Center?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that was amazing.
And when you open the door, in the door jamb, you hit a button and a umbrella popped out.
Yeah, and you gotta go. If you've never been to Hollywood Hot Rods, take a trip over to see them, because this is not a Boyd Coddington style shop. You cannot eat off the floors at this place. If you do, you'll come down with something. But this is a true old school hot rod shop, and they put out amazing product. But there's going to be Barry White's going to be there. You're going to have, we talked about Rick Dorr. There will be the top custom guys.
Johnny will be there.
Johnny will be there. He's always there.
John's a great guy.
The guys from all over the
probably
world.
be there. There's Candy. She'll be there.
Candy Clark will be there. One of the guys I get to see, and look at that guy.
He'll be there.
Oh, my gosh.
My gosh, you're doing the Fig Newton.
I am, yes. And they said white guys don't have rhythm. I got it. One of the guys I get to see, and he's a pinstriper, and I've known him for years, is Herbie Martinez. And I always give Herb a hard time.
I messaged him, and I was hoping to get some kind of reaction back. 2 years ago, there was a Herbie Martinez business card on my seat. And he said, he said something like, it isn't exact words, but it was something like, so you're trying to be in the big times or something like that, ha, or something. He wrote something kind of cool, but yeah. Herbie's going
to be there.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be in Building 4 at the Striper Jam?
I'm spectating this year.
Okay.
But a friend of mine, Mike Donner, is there every year. In fact, we're going to be striping together at the Classic Auto Show.
Cool.
He asked me to sit in and do some lines on a group panel that they all do, and he asks me every year, and every year I say no. And so this year he said, you're going to get behind the table and you're going to stripe. So I might be doing that this year.
All right, so we're all going to be at Grand National Roadster Show. We've had a great show here tonight. We're glad you could all be here. Thank you very much, Johnny. What's your name, Anna? And Fireball Tim.
Two fingers.
And Randy Cardoon. Always Bruce. I'm Hot Rod Bob. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going to have Tim Huddleston, the new operator of Irwindale Speedway and Drag Strip. He's going to tell us all about the new and improved raceway facility.